Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. It's Scoundrel, your millennial gamer dad here, and we're going to be doing another tier list because the last one that we did, people really liked, and I kind of want to do it again. I'm going to start off with gadgets. Now, you see I've already kind of filled some of this in so far. I will talk about that in more detail as we go. But let's start off by saying, if you've been watching MOCO content so far, guys, thank you. It has been amazing. I've really appreciated it. And to celebrate, just got access to a free invite code. QR code on screen. Going to put the link in the description and the pinned comment. For the next 24 hours, or 20 hours maybe by the time this goes live, you will be able to download MOCO for anybody that has access to this code. So use it as much as you can. Get everybody invited, get loads of people into MOCO. Got a limited amount of time to do so, so do it. And if you like the content, only about 10% of the people who watch my MOCO videos are actually subscribed to the channel. So if you would like to subscribe, it would mean a lot to me, and you'll get recommended my content, and hopefully we can get a really cool thing going here with MOCO. Now, I'm now level 25, so look, I'm not like some of these guys who are like post level 30. Unfortunately, I've got a job. But look, in all seriousness, I have played a decent amount now. However, I don't have access to all of the gadgets just yet. I know what these gadgets do. So this really loud whistle apparently is aggro monsters. Sheldon summons a pet, and a really cool sticker does more damage when you attack something. Now, you know, I actually think these two could be relatively good. Like I see with a wolf stick plus Sheldon build, you could probably have a really cool pet build. The reality is, though, that pet AI is a little bit dodgy, and they're also quite difficult to keep alive. Really cool sticker, probably very strong from a single target perspective, but also I'd have to compare the DPS to things like the laser, and also things like, you know, Monster Taser, for instance. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into our tier list here. I'm going to start off by saying I haven't done a strict S to D tier list. The reason being is that every one of these gadgets kind of has a role. You know, all of them can do something decent. But I will say there are some that are just, I think, better than others in those particular roles. So what I'm going to do is ranking from left to right in their particular niche, okay? So that, I hope that makes sense. I'm ranking from left to right in their particular niche. All of them have kind of a good niche. I'm going to start off with utility, starting with the six-pack. Utility, six-pack is a pretty good utility item. So in fact, anything is one of the most fun items in the game for me. What it does is it launches you in the air, you drop bombs. You've probably played with it if you've played the event that's on this weekend. It drops bombs and then you land on the floor. But the great thing about it is when you use it, you are untargetable. You dodge damage. So it's a really great extra dash to get you out of a tricky boss situation, get you out of a highlighted ground area where you're going to take damage. Also deals a little bit of damage as well. It's a really, really great utility item. I think it's a fantastic utility item. It's probably very good in PvP when you have access to it, but also pretty strong in boss fights if you need that extra mobility. The reality is in a lot of the current Rift fights that we have, you don't need that level of mobility, but there may be situations in the future that call for it. However, very strong as a utility item. Speaking of utility items, there is Life Jacket. Now, these guys are so close. The reason I'm putting six-pack above Life Jacket for utility is just one particular reason. Sorry, I had to stop quickly to go and get some squash. Have you guys ever heard of squash? Okay, so I work for an American company, and they have never heard of squash. This is what it is. It's like a concentrate that goes in water. Now, I think Europeans probably have heard of it because they have like syrup and stuff, but in England, we call it squash. And yeah, I'm addicted to it. And that just makes it's like flavored water, basically. Right. So if you look at the difference between Life Jacket and Explosive Six-Pack, you know, Life Jacket is sort of like it's 50% longer cooldown. Now, I will say it blocks all damage, right? So it blocks all damage and your pet. So it keeps you, especially if you're running like Wolf Stick, it's going to help your pet and you tank a load of damage in really tough situations. And then it also expires and deals damage in an area around it, which is also great if you've got the pet. But it's very niche in that sense that its value goes up when you have a pet. You know, there's probably a world where you have like Sheldon and this, and you have like massive area damage and massive survivability. But again, you have to have the pet. Explosive Six-Pack is a jump. You become untargetable, you can jump over low obstacles, and it's on a 10-second cooldown. So that's why I personally think it's a more valuable utility pick, because it's less niche. You can use it with practically any build and actually can use it in most scenarios. So that's why I quite like the Explosive Six-Pack as a greater utility item than the Life Jacket. Okay, now going on to some of the healing items. I will say that healing splash heal is really, really good. It's a very, very large splash heal, and actually is incredibly strong as an off tanking. In fact, I should, do you know what? I really need to add another thing, because frankly, like, add a row below. Let's just make it like purple. It doesn't go with a theme. Oh no, wait a second. Let's make this one healing. Okay, so splash heal, really, really strong healing item. I think it is, if you're like looking for a dedicated healing item, it's probably one of the better ones out there. The heal is quite large. It heals you for most of your HP bar, especially at a high level of splash heal, and it's on a relatively okay cooldown at 16 seconds. So yeah, I think splash heal is pretty strong. Comparing it though to revitalizing mist is instantly healing you or a friendly target with the lowest health within range. Okay, so it heals you or a friendly target with the lowest health within range. It's on an 8-second cooldown, so much better for solo content. So if you're looking for a lower cooldown heal for solo content, this is much better, but frankly, not as ubiquitously useful as the healing splash heal. The splash heal is better for the most part in rifts, because this is healing you or a friendly target. So I'll show you the screen now. This is healing you or a friendly target from the lowest health within range. The only benefit that it has is that it is an 8-second cooldown rather than the 16. But splash heal heals everybody in an area for 16. Now, I think revitalizing mist does heal you for more, but again, I think it's much more focused on solo content, maybe rift content where you're having like a dedicated tank. So this is probably maybe good for like healing up a dedicated tank. But frankly, at the moment, I think that splash heal just a little better overall in terms of what it does. However, if you're doing solo content like dojos, for instance, like let's say PvP, this is probably pretty strong because it's a much greater heal and also very focused and targeted towards yourself. All right, let's move on to AoE focus. Now, the best AoE item in the game is Snow Globe by a country mile. It's on a 30-second cooldown, right? So it is worth noting, it is a 30-second cooldown. It is huge, longest cooldown weapon in the game, but it is incredibly powerful. And when you combine it with something like Unstable Lightning, you have got an insane amount of AoE DPS coming out from this. Snow Globe is one of the items that you can take to rifts with your friends, and it's the reason that I was able to do like Street Fight in the quickest amount of time possible. We basically just staggered our snow. We all brought snow globes, and we just staggered our snow globe wave after wave after wave after wave. It's so good in most of the later maps, like around invasion portals and around summoning totems, just clears everything out. And there is no, unlike a lot of the other AoE items, like let's say fireworks, for instance, there's no limit to how many people it's going to hit. It will hit everything in its range for a sustained period of time and slows them down. It's probably just the best AoE item in the game, but to make up for that, it is on a long cooldown. But when you do use it, especially because like in rifts and when you're on the map, usually there is only a moment where Snow Globe is going to be useful every 30 seconds or so. So if you're using it impactfully, it is the most impactful AoE gadget that you can use, in my opinion. Okay, moving on to a single target focused. I genuinely think the best single target, I'm going to do some more AoE in a minute, by the way. The best single target item in the game is just the Chili Blade, or the Chili Spicy Dagger. The reason being is that it does a decent amount of single target damage, but it then increases all of the damage dealt to that target by 25%, which is a huge increase. It massively increases your overall DPS output on a 10-second cooldown. You combine that with some of the other single target focused items like the multi-zapper, you just suddenly start outputting insane amounts of damage. You also combine it with something like the monster taser, and you've got the most unbelievable single target focus ever, as well as like, you know, running it with the speed, what's it called? The speed shot. You run it with the speed shot and you suddenly are melting bosses. In my opinion, it's just the must-have single target gadget. If you're looking to do any serious single target damage, you're going to run Spicy Dagger. It is better when you combine it with other things, of course, but it is the foundation for any strong single target build, which in my opinion makes it the best single target gadget in the game. And then it's kind of a bit of a toss-up. I really like Monster. I really do like Monster Zapper because on a low cooldown and it's very spammable, and it's pretty good at stunning targets. But then Multi Zapper is also really good. Now, Multi Zapper does have an AoE use, and it is, I would consider, like an okay area of effect ability, but you can't choose what it targets, and if you're in very large groups, it has minimal impact. So smaller groups to single targets, that's where Multi Zapper has a lot of impact. However, if you are just on a single target, Multi-Zapper is incredible. The difference being is that, it's on an 18-second cooldown, so it's nearly the same as Fireworks, whereas, Monster Taser is on a 5-second cooldown. You can spam it like crazy. So, okay, now carrying on. I'm looking at things that are great all-rounders, and I'm just actually struggling to find one that I think is like a great all-rounder. To be honest with you, like, Fireworks are a pretty good all-rounder. What I would say is, like, I'm not saying that Fireworks are better than the other gadgets on here. The reason being is that Fireworks, like, are very good AoE and are pretty good single target. Like, they're actually pretty strong in both senses. So they're a bit of an all-rounder gadget. Even though it says on the, when you sort of look at the item itself, it says better in AoE. Totally get it. But also they will all like Multi-Zapper, they will all just hit the same target if there is only one target for them to focus. So they're a pretty good all-rounder gadget, and I think it's actually somewhat slept on, even though they were one of the first gadgets that you unlock. Pretty strong. I wouldn't, again, like I said, this is not supposed to be a list that's better at the top and worse at the bottom. What it really is supposed to say is, like, from left to right, in my opinion, are some of the better uses of the gadgets. Okay, and going for AoE focus, I think Boombox and Pepper Spray are both very good. Like, obviously Pepper Spray is very AoE focused, as is Boombox. I personally think Pepper Spray is slightly better than Boombox. I do think Boombox is good, don't get me wrong. I do think Boombox is good. So I do like Boombox, but what I would say about it compared to Pepper Spray is that Pepper Spray has a lot more passive synergy. Because Pepper Spray hits multiple times when you spray a group of enemies, which means you can link it up with things like, I'm just going to bring back the old game, you can link it up with things like Unstable Lightning really well, because it will then just be able to, like, hit multiple people with Unstable Lightning, whereas Boombox is just one big hit. So the thing about Boombox is that it doesn't have that ability to hit multiple times, and therefore it doesn't actually have that much passive synergy with anything, realistically. So that's just worth noting, that's why I like Pepper Spray, and that's also why I like Snow Globe. Both of those have much more passive synergy than something like Boombox. Boombox doesn't really have any passive synergy, other than maybe pairing up with some of the sort of the more close quarters passives, like Smelly Socks, I guess. But, like, ultimately, Pepper Spray and Snow Globe have got much better sort of passive synergy with like the sort of things like the Unstable Lightning. So that's just really worth noting in that regard. That's why I like Snow Globe and Pepper Spray more so than Boombox when dealing with area effect stuff, because Boombox does not have that kind of passive synergy. Even though it does have a really nice AoE stun, it's on a 2-second lower cooldown than Pepper Spray. It also has a lower damage ceiling, I think, whereas Pepper Spray and Snow Globe have much higher damage ceilings in terms of what they can do. The only final passive to talk about is Vitamin Shot. And now, those of you on this channel will know that I really like Vitamin Shot, and it's not really a healing passive, and it's not really a single target passive, it's not really an AoE focus, it's just a really good all-rounder. In my opinion, it's one of the best all-rounder passives or sort of gadgets in the game. It heals, it increases your weapon DPS, it therefore can have really strong AoE implications, it can have really strong synergy implications, it can have really strong single target implications. It's just a really good all-rounder a gadget, in my opinion. It's especially good with Techno Fists, because Techno Fists have a really strong 10th combo attack, and therefore using Vitamin Shot gets you to that 10th combo attack more regularly and more quickly. And that means you have a much better AoE focus, as well as giving you a little bit of solo healing to go with it as well. Now, the healing's not strong. It's not a huge solo heal, but combine it with Vampire Teeth, and you actually have a really, really good little burst of healing that you use when you use that Vitamin Shot. So it is actually pretty good. I really do like it. It's very good for solo play, and I do like it with Techno Fists. I use it pretty much in all of my solo dojo things, because Techno Fists, that 10th Mega Ball attack is really strong, and also gives you just that little bit extra healing. When you don't want to commit to like a full healing gadget, and you want something that's going to both heal and provide DPS output, that's where Vitamin Shot comes in, and therefore I see it as a great all-rounder. So that's kind of my overview of gadgets. And like I said, I don't think you can strictly do an S to D, because everything kind of has its like role, and that's why I've done it this way. Right. Hope that makes sense to everyone. And thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.